Hello! Hello, I'm back. Alright, let's see if this is going out on the tubers. Oh, not yet. We're waiting for it. Should start any second. Okay. So, hope everybody's had a good Memorial Day for all those that sacrificed and made the ultimate sacrifice, and those that came back. I appreciate you. I hope everybody does, no matter what your idea about war and peace is. People do what they feel is necessary. That's all you can ask. So, welcome to the Minutes with Milo show. Going to talk about a little bit of nostalgia. A lot of nostalgia, really. But before we get to all that, just if you're tuning in live, thank you. And if you just happen to jump across this right now, don't go away. Stick it out. It'll get better. Keep waiting, and it'll still get better and better. If you don't like it at the end, leave me a comment. Say, hey, you know what? I watched this whole stupid thing, and I didn't like a minute of it. That'll be good. Then you can subscribe and come back and hope that they get better. And if they don't, watch to the end, leave me a comment and said, I watched another stupid video of yours, and it still stunk. That's what I want you to do. Like, hate, subscribe, notifications, share, do all that stuff. Because just because you don't like it, don't mean that somebody else won't like it. You got to give them that opportunity. It's all about opportunity. Make the best of it. Share it. Let everybody taste the nastiness. Don't keep it to yourself. So, what did you do before the internet? Now, we could get into mountains of stuff that have changed, but I'm going to try to narrow it down to what did you do to get information before the internet. All right, so we've talked about, I have, my family, friends, we've talked about, how kids have grown up, depending on their age, with almost the ability to instantaneously find something out. I mean, you don't have to have a big interest. You just, okay, let's take one thing. The weather. All right, let's say you're a child back before the internet and you were on a baseball team. And you played your ball games Saturday morning, 10 o'clock. It's Friday afternoon. You get out of school. You run home. Mom, you think we're going to play tomorrow? It looks kind of cloudy. You think it'll rain? Is it going to be sunny? What's the weather going to be like? You couldn't just look at stuff up on your phone. You couldn't go to the computer. You couldn't get out your tablet. All right, what would you do? Think back, people. And if you can't think back, you're too young. Think back. What did most people get in the morning? Maybe they picked it up in the afternoon, put some money in a machine, pulled that door down in the front, and if they were honest, they reached in and got one of them. Let the door close, and there it was. The news for the day. It wasn't for the day because, it was about stuff that happened at least yesterday or last week. But in there was a pretty somewhat good guess of what the weather might be tomorrow. Right? They called it a newspaper. It was in print. You rubbed silly putty on the cartoons and you pulled it off, and you could stretch the faces out and make them all kinds of different things. And the ink would get on your hands. And people swore up and down it was the best thing to clean car windows with. You know, that, an old newspaper and some vinegar. Crimple it up, make it soft. If you didn't wash your windows with it, you could wipe your butt with it. Nobody was going to check down there to see if the ink come off on your butt. Right? So, the newspaper, that might be one place. But your parents had to get it. Or you went and paid, 10 cents, a nickel, whatever it might have been, in those newspaper machines. You could ask somebody, maybe somebody else read the newspaper. Or, what else could you do? Well, if it was before 6 o'clock in the evening, then you could watch the news on TV. And even if you only had 3 channels, even if you had 2 channels, 6 o'clock, news time, you had to wade through all the BS and all the junk that you didn't give a rat's patootie about to listen to the weather. Yeah. And if you were outside playing, maybe mom or dad would tell you what it was. And if you were lucky, well, I don't know, call it lucky. But if you were allowed to, if you missed the 6 o'clock, you could stay up till 11, watch the news, and watch the TV, play the national anthem, put up the flag, and go off. Then you went to bed. That was pretty much it. And that's just one little example of what you might do if you wanted information when you were around before the internet. You had to think. You couldn't just pick up your phone and open an app and go, well, the radar shows it's going to rain in 25 and a half minutes. But tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock when I'm playing my baseball game, it's going to be sunny, partly cloudy, the UV index is going to be blah, and, all that other stuff. Humidity is going to be 17%. The barometric pressure is going to be going up. Better, put some sunscreen on my nose and my arms. So, back before the internet, that's what you could do. And if you wanted to know something else, you better be ready to travel or wait for the information. You might be able to get stuff right then. Maybe. So, before the internet, radio, I forgot about radio. Maybe your local station played the weather at the top of the hour, the bottom of the hour, when the news was happening. Go to the radio. You have a little AM radio. You could be out there throwing balls with your cousin, uncle, brother, sister, whatever. Turn on your little AM transistor radio. Maybe you get the weather then. But you had publications. You had radio and TV. You had the library. Depending on what you wanted, to be at the library. You had a bookstore. So, what the main focus of my kind of tonight is going to be, what would you do on a Friday night if you wanted to know about Nova Scotia? Well, I don't know nothing about Nova Scotia. Is that even a place? What is Nova Scotia? Where would you go? Mom, Dad, what do you know about Nova Scotia? I don't know, never been there. It's a place somewhere, other side of the stupid world. Why? Well, I want to know about it. Then what would you do? Library's not open. Nobody on the news unless something bad was happening in Nova Scotia. There wasn't nothing about the news. Radio. No. Duh. Top 40, news, weather, maybe traffic, depending on if you lived a place where it needed traffic. No. So what would you do? You're right. You're right. You would go to what hopefully a lot of families had in their homes. Now, if you didn't buy them new, you could buy them used. But they came out ever so often. We'll look at that. I hope you can read that because that says New Standard Encyclopedia. This is the N and O. This is the no section. I guess that's like 12. All right, so the encyclopedia. This was, or these were a place that you could go and find out stuff that you knew nothing about. And it was amazing because there's pictures in here, not just words. There's pictures. All right. So I used Nova Scotia because I had the N right here next to it. I plan these things out, people. I know. It's a well-oiled machine. You can tell I plan everything out to the T. So let's see. If I can spell Nova Scotia, we'll look it up. North America, not Nova Scotia. Norway, not Nova Scotia. No bull. Three swipes. I don't have it marked. 3 swipes, and I come up on Nova Scotia. Geez, look at the print. I've got readers on, and that stuff is small. Okay? All right, so let me go back real quick. And kids may not know this. A lot of kids probably don't. There's a place in the front when it will tell you all about the book. Like its publishing date. Oh, have mercy. So let's see. This says I believe copyrighted 2001. So 2001, this thing is roughly 22 years old. 22 years old. Man, smells like an encyclopedia. Smells like Nova Scotia in here. The scratch and sniff section. Yeah, Cleo, pictures. We got pictures, and we're just going to look at Nova Scotia. I need light, man. I've got readers on. It magnifies stuff. But you know what helps a lot more than that? Is light. So let's see. What have we got? What do we know about Nova Scotia? Just real quick. Steel mill in Sydney on Cape Breton Island. The island has an abundant supply of coal. What? Large quantities of which are used for steel making. Oh my gosh. We ought to burn this. Throw it away. Fishermen shuck shell scallops on their boat in the Bay of Fundy. Fishing plays an important role in the economy of Nova Scotia. Shuck scallops. You know what I bet? I bet they open the shells, took out the scallops, and then threw the shells overboard, polluting the ocean. It's daggone Nova Scotians. So let's look at the pictures, Cleo. Ready? There's your steel production, burning the coal, the sinful coal. And there's those sea polluters shucking the scallops. And this is the bay. That is Margaret's Bay, something. I don't know. What else we got? Ooh, here we go. All right. Facts about Nova Scotia. This is a map. I'll show you the map, but this is what's... Okay. Origin of Nova Scotia. The name. The name is Latin for New Scotland. Didn't know that. Total area is 21,425 square miles. That's 55,490 kilometers. Ranks 9th among provinces. I guess maybe of Scotland. Population in 1991. Now let's see, this is a 2001 copyright, and they have the census from 1991. Interesting. 899,942, ranks 7th among the provinces. Capital and largest city is Halifax. Became a province July 1, 1867. One of the 4 original provinces. Okay. Elevation. The highest is 1,745 feet. I'm assuming above sea level. The lowest elevation is sea level. So apparently you don't have a basement in Nova Scotia. Ooh. Why? Because then it'd be below sea level. You know? They would have, they don't have caves either, because then it would probably be below sea level. Well, let's see. We done skipped back to Notre Dame. Where's the very first thing about Nova Scotia? Nottingham, Nova Scotia. Let's see what it very first says about it. Nova Scotia, one of the maritime provinces of Canada. So why would they call it Nova Scotia when it's in Canada? I should have known that. Nova Scotia is in Canada, not near Scotland. But why would the name mean New Scotland? Can you tell me that? I don't know. It consists of a mainland peninsula, Cape Breton Island, and numerous small islands. The peninsula is connected to the mainland province of New Brunswick by the isthmuses of Chincoteague, separated from Cape Breton Island by the narrow Strait of Canso. Surrounded by the Atlantic Ocean, Gulf of St. Lawrence, Northumberland Strait, and the Bay of Fundy. So let me show you the map. There, that's Nova Scotia. Can you get in on that? Interesting. Yep, interesting. So what else we got in here? Ooh, nuclear bomb. What's this dude doing here? An experimental nuclear reactor at Oak Ridge, Tennessee. The Oak Ridge National Laboratory. Oak Ridge was established during World War II as a site for nuclear research and development. Uranium produced here was used in the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima in 1945. Let's learn about Oak Ridge. Just a little bit of something. Tennessee, a city, Oak Ridge, Tennessee, a city in Anderson County, 22 miles northwest of Knoxville. It's founded by an act of Congress in 1942 and under conditions of wartime secrecy, Several large plants and laboratories devoted to nuclear research and production of the atomic bomb were established. The American Museum of Science and Energy has exhibits on various kinds of energy technology, especially that involving the production of nuclear energy. Oak Ridge was incorporated as a city in 1959. Population is 27,310. See also, they give you a reference, nuclear energy section, research and development. So there you go. This is one place, a publication, that you could get your information from. Now, was it extensive? Nova Scotia is like maybe 2 pages. Oak Ridge was a paragraph and a picture. But with this information, you could go to the library and look up more information. Maybe not Friday night or Saturday morning, but kind of like New England, maybe, northeastern states, maybe. You think there was a lot of Scots there in Canada? I don't know. Maybe the Canadians stole it from Scotland. I don't know. But this is, I mean, it's hard to fathom. 22 years ago, or 21 years ago. Yep, roughly 21 years ago. The stuff in here was pretty much what we knew and believed to be fact. So, let's say that in 2001 it came out and Nova Scotia was Latin for New Scotland. Well, throughout the years, somebody researched it and dug deeper and found a document that says that that's not true. That it wasn't named Nova Scotia, and that wasn't done until, 1842. But prior to that, it was known by something else. Then, when this came out in the next publication, however many years it was, if you wanted to be up on the latest, then you needed to buy a new set of encyclopedias. And if you had an old, outdated set, and you were going to write a theme just before Christmas, and you had to turn it in to your teacher, you went to your encyclopedia that was 25 years old, and you wrote it based on this information, she might fail you because it wasn't current. That's old stuff, Ralphie. What are you talking about, Nova Scotia, Latin for New Scotland? Everybody knows that that's a lie. Huh. But they had people researching that stuff. Okay? You couldn't just go in on the internet web pages and change it and make everybody believe it. You're not supposed to be able to. A lot of research went into this. Fact checking. Woo! Fact checking. So, where else could you go? Okay? You could go, like I said, to publications. And what I happen to have over here, let's just see. Oh, don't you do it. Don't you do it. Oh, come on, Bubby. I picked one off the bottom. Okay. So, let go of me. Publications. This is what you might find in the library. Now, I know I've shown some of these before. Okay. The Magnificent Mastro. What's that dude's name down here? I can't pronounce it. I hope that comes out. To me, it's backwards. I hope it's flipped it around and shows it to y'all correctly. Because I've never really thought about that. So you could go here and you could find out what was going on. Let's see. Does this one have a date? This one's got a date. Let's look at get the magical flashlight out. October 24th, 1977. This thing cost you $1, 1977. Now, the problem with this was it was a lot more timely than the encyclopedia, because they would research this, like, when did I say it came out? In October? So in September, they were going to the presses to put this out in like October. And I think Time, was it a weekly publication? I can't remember if it was weekly or monthly. If it come out on the 24th, that makes me believe it's like weekly. October 24th, 1977, volume 110, number 17. Time, the weekly magazine. So it was a weekly publication. But it was still, semi-dated. It wasn't instantaneous. It wasn't, Betty Boop stumped her toe in the New York subway and chipped a toenail at 2 o'clock this afternoon, and you're reading about it because she posted it on social media at 2:02. It wasn't that. You had to wait. You had to research. You had to find it. Oh, good. It shows correctly. Great. That's good. Because in my camera, where I'm seeing it on the screen, it's backwards. But I'm glad it shows it's straight. So, nothing instantaneous. Back before the internet, that was it. The most instantaneous you could have would probably be the evening news. I never was a newsman or anything like that, but a lot of people know the theory behind it. Came across on the wire. So, the newsrooms had a connection. Every newsroom had the wire, the API. I don't know what that means. I think it was API, AP, whatever. But there was a place where if something happened in, Budapest, then, it could get on the wire, and that would be quick. If it happened in Oak Ridge, it could get on the wire, and then if that came across while Walter was doing his, 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock, whatever news, there was local and national. Come across on national news, some dude might run up, slide this piece of paper into him, and while he was telling you about, the misgivings of, beauty supply stores, whatever it was, breaking news, this just right off the wire, Zsa Zsa Gabor chips her toenail in the subway. They wouldn't have pictures. They wouldn't have any, it was just facts. Not opinions, but facts. So, where else could you get information? Well, depending on what you wanted to know, a dictionary. Oh my gosh, a dictionary. What could you find out in a dictionary? Well, looky right here. Listen, where's my dirigible? 1. That may be directed or controlled, a dirigible balloon. 2. Designating an airship, the outer envelope of which is elongated form provided with propeller system, cars, rudders, and stabilizing surfaces. The form of the envelope may be non-rigid by the pressure of the contained gas assisted by the car suspension system, or rigid by a framework contained within the envelope, or semi-rigid by means of attachment to an exterior girdle or grid Girder construction. Sorry. Girder construction containing the cars. And it's got a little dirigible. Got a little dirigible picture. See it? See it up there in the middle of the page? So, not only, this is a Webster Comprehensive Dictionary, the Encyclopedia version. So, I mean, this came with, if you bought, I assume, I never bought encyclopedias. We had them when I was a kid. I don't even know if my parents ever updated it. I think they did. Who knows? I wished I had those back. Because, man, those things were old. It'd be interesting to go back and look at things over the decades of what they improved upon, what they changed, what they corrected, and what they just threw away. Right? What they just like, shh, nobody wants to know about that. Throw that away. Oh, here's something else. Very interesting. What is this guy? Got a picture of chaps. I was looking to see what they defined it as. It's in there somewhere, but I don't see it. So you could look through here. If you're like me, you pick up and look at the pictures. Okay. Does anybody know? Well, you're anybody. Does anybody know what type of sleigh Santa rides in? What's it called? It's not. You can call it a sleigh, but it's a specific kind. How do I know that? I just found it right here in the dictionary, encyclopedia version. All right. It says here that it's a cutter. And it has a little footnote. Cutter. Definition 4. Def 4. So let's read Def 4. A small sleigh usually drawn by one horse. So, what do you think? 8 tiny reindeer faster than one horse? Could be. So, you think, oh, that can't be right. Well, look. Right there, daggone you. That is Santa's sleigh. And it says right there, cutter. Def 4. So, na boo boo. Santa's sleigh is a cutter. It's supposed to be drawn by one horse. 8 tiny reindeer. That's right. So, back before the internet, you could come up with all kinds of stuff. But you had to get, a red one with bells. Cutters come in all colors, Clell. All colors. Not shapes and sizes, though. Because they got to conform to a small one-man sled. Something like that. I done lost it. But yeah, red with bells, tassels. Shoot, some little bicycle flags flying in the breeze. Come up with all kinds of good stuff out of here. Aircraft carrier. So what you could do, look at that. If you were a curious kid, you didn't have anything to do on Friday night, while you're waiting on your ball game, to roll around on Saturday, and you already know what the weather's going to be. It's supposed to be sunny. You ain't got nothing to do. You pick up the Encyclopedia Dictionary. You think, what am I going to do? What can I learn tonight? Where'd my flashlight go? There. And you happen to turn to this page. And you notice this interesting picture. And it's of hammers. Right? Hammer. A hand implement with a head at right angles to the handle, used for driving nails, pounding, swagging, etc. See under claw hammer, tack hammer. Alright. So if you ever wondered about the different kinds of hammers, it shows you pictures and describes each one. Bricklayer's hammer, upholsterer's or tack hammer, machinist's straight pin, shoemaker's hammer, rawhide-faced hammer, machinist's ball peen, riveting hammer, blacksmith set hammer, claw hammer, tinner's hammer. So let's see what a F. Machinist's ball peen. And that's what I've always called a ball peen, but I've never called it a machinist's ball peen. So see, there you go. Then what you could do with that information, you could take it and you'll say, well, that's pretty interesting. I wonder what the encyclopedia has on hammers. You could run to your encyclopedia and pull it out. Right? You could. Or you could sit around and go, Mom, there's nothing to do. I'm so bored. Mom, there's nothing to do. I'm so bored. And she'd say, go brush your teeth. Take a bath. Get in bed. Read a book. Look up something on the encyclopedia. Learn something, you loon. Because I just saw a loon right there going by. There's a mattock. Pictures. It's all about the pictures. Yep, about the pictures. And I was going to look up something. What was I going to look up? It was in N. Was it Nova Scotia? There's a mongoose, buddy. Oh, man, did I not? This one, N. Nope, there's some N's. Oh, stupid. That is stupid. What did I do? Did I pick up the one? There's just letters. It's just like an encyclopedia. There's 2 volumes. Okay. So, it's pretty stupid. And I'll tell you why. If you were making a Webster's Comprehensive Dictionary, the encyclopedia version, would you go, let's just A through another letter, right? And then when you hit the end of that letter, you say, well, that's a pretty thick book, right? I mean, maybe we ought to pick up that other letter and the rest of the alphabet or whatever on another volume, right? Let's stop at the whatever the last M word is, and then we'll just pick up the starting of N and go through, the end of Z. Let's make it 2 volumes. I mean, that seems logical, doesn't it? Am I being stupid? So I happened to pick up the first one, and it's A through name. A through name. So it starts with and ends with name. Why? Why not just stop at the end of M. M-N, right? M. Stop it. Now, let's start all the N's in the next book. Not like, well, I mean, I've brought all these pages, and I have a page and a half left to put in this book. And we don't want to leave it empty. Oh, heavens no. So let's just go until we fill up the page. Well, name is the last thing we can get in that book. So let's just start with the other one. You think I'm lying, don't you? 1. A through name. Oh, honey, go get me that dictionary. Bring me the one that starts after name. I'm looking up Naomi. Jeez almighty. Yeah, right. That's crazy. Been a long time since I've had those. And those aren't mine. Those are my wife's dictionaries. Or dictionaries and encyclopedias. I had to dig out behind the other books to get to the encyclopedias. But yeah, if you wanted to write a paper, learn about something, you had to go to you didn't have to, but you could go to the encyclopedia. So, let's see. Here's one last little tidbit about information network before the internet. Share screen, share screen, share screen, share my screen, and add it to the screen. Okay. Encyclopedia Britannica. The Encyclopedia Britannica, Latin for British Encyclopedia, learned something right there, is a general knowledge English language encyclopedia. It is published by the Encyclopedia Britannica Incorporated. The company has existed since the 18th century, although it has changed ownership various times through the centuries. The encyclopedia is maintained by about 100 full-time editors and more than 4,000 contributors. The 2010 version of the 15th edition, which spans 32 volumes and 32,640 pages, was the last printed edition. Since 2016, it has been published exclusively as an online encyclopedia. I mean, that's sad. That is sad. Because kids will never know the hassle or the joy, or whatever you want to call it, or the experience of going through and saying, I want to learn about Nova Scotia. Well, they got to know their silly alphabet, right? They can't just press a button and go, Celsa, tell me about Nova Scotia. And then the stupid thing tell them about it. They got to think, put their brains into it. And then while they're looking it up, they come across, all kinds, Northern Lights, nails, Newfoundwaffles, whatever it might be. They come across all kinds of other things while they're looking up that one thing in the encyclopedia. And they make it just like, oh, well, I didn't know that. They may spend an hour just perusing the things that they come across while they're trying to look up Nova Scotia. But they got to put their brains into it. Right? So, it's a shame. Now it's online. It was printed for 244 years. It was the longest running in-print encyclopedia in the English language. It was first published between 1768 and 1771 in the Scottish capital of Edinburgh as 3 volumes. The encyclopedia grew in size. The second edition was 10 volumes. Well, they tripled its damn size. In its 4th edition, 1801 to 1810, it was expanded to 20 volumes. They doubled it. So they learned a lot of stuff between 1771 in the second edition. It doesn't say when the second edition came out, but they learned a lot of stuff because they went from 3 to 10 volumes, and then it's doubled their knowledge between, that one and 1801. 11th edition, 1911, are landmark encyclopedias for scholarship and literary style, starting with the 11th edition and following its acquisition by the American firm, the Britannica, shortened to simplify articles to broaden its appeal in the North American market. In 1933, the Britannica became the first encyclopedia to adopt continuous revision, in which the encyclopedia is continually reprinted with every article updated on a schedule. In March 2012, Encyclopedia Britannica Incorporated announced it would no longer publish printed editions and would focus instead on the online version. What a waste, man. What a waste. What a waste. All right. Well, my grandfather bought a science year every year in the mid-late 70s. I loved those. I never heard of the science year. That's interesting. Interesting. So, yeah, encyclopedias, man. Before there was an internet, you had to go out and find your information. And then, it was just as good as the people that wrote it. I mean, a lot like now, but, that's what it was. Now you may have 20 different versions of the same story, the same information, the same subject. 20 different versions of it or something of the same subject. No, that one's not right. Mine's right. No. Yours isn't right. That guy's is right. But anyway, before the internet, that's what it was. Publications. Things in print. You had to go look it up. All right. Well, if you came by, I appreciate it. Clell, Robert. Hope y'all had a good Memorial Day. We cooked out some hamburgers and tater chips and French fries, all the potatoes kind of stuff. So it was pretty decent. Pretty decent after the weather cleared up and it stopped raining and wet. So I'm going to go out and put the chickens up, bring in the eggs. Robert sent pictures. What'd you send pictures of? The World's Encyclopedia. What's this one here? Oh, science year. Okay, 1981. It's got bees on it. That's pretty cool. What's that say there? The World Book Science Annual, 1981. Wow. So, I don't assume that the World's Encyclopedia of Useful Knowledge. Huh, that's cool. How old is that thing? It looks old. I know it's older than 1981. That was the last one I received. Pretty cool. The bad thing too is they won't have those to look at 20 years from now, 21 years from now. They look it up on the internet, close their phone, and it's gone. They won't have it to go back and look at and hold and thumb through and reminisce about it. Because it'll all digital, all be gone away. Yeah, technically all this stuff never goes away, but you know what I'm saying. Like 1881, that's actually from that year, that book is. That's pretty cool. Old shit. Useful knowledge. All right. Well, like I said, I'm going to go cut this off. It's 50 minutes. Long enough. Go get the chickens in, take a shower, go to bed. 5 o'clock, 5:15 rolls around early. Early in the morning. So if you watched it, thank you. If you're watching it after it's live, thank you. Like, subscribe, do all the YouTube things. Tune in next Thursday, 9 o'clock. I don't know what it's going to be on. Might be something just as interesting as life before, information before the internet. So, thanks everybody. See y'all later.